This video continues our series outlining the uses of Trim 2D Building Designer. We've talked about using keystrokes for copy and paste, Ctrl-C and Ctrl-V, and we'll do some other interesting things now in this video, particularly group. Here I'm using the mouse to outline the entire wall, and I'm going to right-click, then click on Group, and all those pieces now become one piece. So when I click and drag and pull it away, it moves as one piece. The most useful button in the program is the Undo button. When I click on that, it goes straight back to the position it was in beforehand. Let's click on Slide Sorter so that we can see what we're going to do next. What we're going to do in Slide Sorter is insert a new slide where we're going to build our second wall. As before, we can drag it next to the slide where we're sourcing our pieces. If we click on Normal, we can see again that we have to take out these elements that have been kindly put in automatically by the OpenOffice system, but we leave behind the grid because that's what we're going to snap to. Now we're going to pick up the gable end. That's already been grouped for us, so when we copy that, right-click, copy, then we know we can go to slide 3 and right-click and paste, and that brings us the gable end in one piece into our slide. We'll just drag it across a little bit. We can now go back and pick up the main building block, the 10-link piece that we've used in the past, copy that, and then paste that into slide 3 also. Here we're going to do something different. We're going to use the up arrow, side arrow, and down arrow keys on the keyboard to make sure that this piece lines up. Let's zoom in. Now we're going to use the arrows to make sure that this piece is correctly lined up with the piece above it. When we've got it into the right position, then we'll copy and paste some of those pieces and put them into position. As before, we can right-click, copy, paste, drag into position, or we can do Ctrl-C, Ctrl-V and drag into position. Having got those pieces lined up, we need to move on to building the lower layers, so let's put in a guide piece. And when we get that piece lined up, the first piece of the bottom row of our end of our house will be in exactly the right position. We can take our guide piece and reuse it, and then we can put in our final piece, copy, paste, slide it into position, and now our second wall is finished. You can see how quick this is. Let's zoom out, and now we can group that wall. Just outline it with our mouse, right-click, group, and now we've got our second wall in position. We can move it around and it moves as one piece. Now we go back to Slide Sorter and we're going to create our third and fourth walls. But we're going to cheat a little. Let's save this file. If you look carefully, when my mouse goes to the bottom of the slide, you can see a little icon there that says Duplicate, and that's what it does. If we click on it, it just duplicates that entire slide. We're going to duplicate this slide now, and suddenly we've got 4 walls. Now that's a bit of a cheat, so we'll go and make 1 or 2 changes to make our walls slightly different. Click on Normal, and we're going to take a piece out of here on this end wall. We'll have to ungroup this first, ungroup it. We take the piece out, delete it, and we can put a window in there. We go back to slide 2, we click on the selected window, copy, back to slide 3, paste, and slide it into position. We can zoom in to make sure it's in exactly the right position. And then we can zoom back out. And now let's regroup that. So again, we draw around it with our mouse, right click, and group. Go back to slide sorter. Let's do something similar with this slide. We don't want doors on both sides of our house, so we'll ungroup this to start with. Ungroup, then we'll click on the door and delete it. And then we're just going to copy and paste the building block that's next to it and slide it into position. Make sure it's in exactly the right position, then we can group that lot again. So now we've got 4 walls that are all different. Let's go back to slide sorter, save the file again, and then we'll insert one more slide. What we're going to do now is copy all 4 walls onto this new slide so we can see that the links match up and that the windows are all on a consistent level. That's the important point of this software. Again, we delete these 2 elements that OpenOffice has put in for our benefit. Click on the boundary, press the delete key. And now we're going to go to each of the 4 slides containing the walls and we'll copy and paste them onto the new empty slide. Copy, paste, drag it to the side. Because it's grouped together, it's very easy to drag it as one piece. That's the gable end without the window. Let's do the gable end with the window and paste that in. I'm doing this very quickly, but in the early days as you learn the system, it may be better that you make extensive use of the zoom to confirm that the pieces are lining up correctly. Finally, the 4th wall, copy, paste, move it off to the left. The important thing here is now we've got all our pieces lined up on this slide, and we can tell that the windows are all at the same level, therefore the floors are all at the same level. And we can check that the tabs or the links all line up with each other. We can just pull this wall across to meet the end wall, and we can see that all the links do line up with each other. If we need to make any adjustments to this, we can make adjustments on the PC, and we don't have to worry about casting lots of pieces, gluing a lot of them together, and then discovering halfway through the build that we've made a mistake. The whole idea behind this software is to ensure that you make any mistakes on the PC rather than discovering an error after you've glued a lot of the pieces together. You'll notice that this model goes over the edges of the slide. That's perfectly allowable, up to a certain point. I think you can still see clearly which type of piece is in which position on the screen. This will help you when you come to build the physical model from the plaster casts. The next thing to do now is to tidy up this file by deleting the slides that we have finished using and that we don't need to store our finished building. We can just click on the slide and press the delete button on the keyboard. So when we've finished, let's save this, When we've finished, our file contains our 4 walls on 4 individual slides, plus one slide with all 4 walls together. Why not try out this software now on some of the building plans that ScaleCast and Linka have made available on their websites? Finally, on behalf of Trim and London Web Software, the business that has created this program and these videos, may I say that I hope you have a great time designing and building your models.